Hey everyone, and welcome to Astrology After or Monday Night Astrology. Not After Dark. It is After Dark, but it's not the same show.
Depends where you're watching from.
Yeah. So we are the Academy of Logic and Light. Anyway, we are a community education platform that provides a safe space for people to practice their spirituality without being indoctrinated. We have monthly meetups here in person, and we're going to be starting some virtually this year, as well as we are the Academy of Logic and Light on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and we have a Facebook group all under the same name. You can also find us on Patreon. So if you like what you see and you want to support us, you can head over there. We also have monthly member live streams. So we'll be streaming more over there as well for those who are helping support us. And then if you're interested in teaching, you can reach out to us on social media, or you can follow the links down below to find our teacher form to fill out. And yeah, anyway, you can help us by obviously supporting us on Patreon, or you can just like this video, share it, help spread the word of what we're doing. Join us and follow our socials to see what we've been working on. And we're so excited that you are all here with us. And we should be on Instagram even today. I'm super excited.
Kayla let us know if she cannot get on there. So
Yay. Perfect. Well, we'll go ahead and add I'll roll an intro and then turn the time over to our teachers. Oh, sorry, I haven't introduced them yet. We have Julie and Elle with us today, teaching us all about the house the house rulers. I'm super excited. This is a lot of really cool information. And if you were a little confused last time, or if you start to get lost a little bit, we have some charts we're going to be pulling up, and we're going to be using those charts to give you examples, as well as like help you visualize the things that Elle's talking about as she goes along. And if you're interested, you'll hear Elle talk a little bit about what these placements in these charts mean. So if you're interested in having your chart featured in one of our live streams, we're going to be posting a information box on our Instagram stories. So if you want to follow along over there, and then we will DM you if we end up using your chart for the next week. We'll DM you when it goes up. And I'm super excited to kind of implement this in a way for people who are watching to get a little bit of an astrology reading, as well as we get to kind of have a more practical application for you as well. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and turn the play that intro and turn the time over to our teachers. Thanks, everybody.
hello.
Look at us in glasses, being all cute.
I know. You're in Mexico. You're super cute. I'm over here with children and husbands, and not husbands, but husband. Just one. There's only one.
I can't imagine having more than one, but I'd like to try.
No, I'm not interested. One is enough. He is great, but he is enough.
Always good to hear.
Yeah, I'm not the one for dating multiple people or being with multiple people. It's just not. It's too much work for me.
Yeah.
Low maintenance, easy, chill. I just, But with the kids and them all being sick, it's just been a really fun day. So, but we moved at home. We traveled. It was fun. Oklahoma was great, and yeah.
Good. Good. I'm glad. That's awesome.
Good
Welcome back.
Thank you. And you're still in Mexico.
I'm still in Mexico. I am more sober than last week. I apologize.
I love sober too, but I love Tipsy Julie, and I like when she plays it, so it's fine.
Yeah, I was like, I cannot go back online as drunk as I was last week.
You did great. You were.
And then I was like, no wonder you couldn't understand last week's episode. You weren't there. No one was home.
I don't understand either, and I was there. Yeah. I love it.
I'm glad we're going over a little bit of overview today too.
Yeah, so we're going to go over the first house, which we spoke about last time. It's gonna be same explanation, maybe a little different. I'm gonna try to slow down. We're going to show all right, so Megan's gonna pop a map or a chart on, and she's gonna circle where we're talking about. So you can look on your chart and really know where we're talking about, because it's a lot. It's a lot of information, and we're still beginner level, but we are introducing things that are going to um, help you look at your chart in a more complex way. And so once we start talking about the rulers of the houses, then you can kind of put together like, okay, this rules this house and it's connected here and how and why. So it is going to, I mean, our goal is to get more complex. So we're just gearing you up for that. So please ask questions, reach out if you don't get it, reach out to me or Julie. We can answer the questions that you have. That way you're not stuck in this place of confusion of like, I'm never going to get it, because we've all been there. I've been like, holy shit, maybe I don't want to study astrology because it makes no sense. But once you get it and it all kind of connects, you kind of get it and you get all of them. So just takes time.
Yeah, you will get sad at some point and then you won't be alone.
I've been studying this since I was 12. So 12.
Yeah. That just does make me feel a lot better in every single way, because every time I'm like, okay, I think I got a good grasp on this, and then I'm like, I know absolutely nothing and I'm stupid. And I'm just like, okay, how long do I want to do this? Like, it's not a lifestyle choice. Like, this is what I do now.
Yeah. No, it's every day it's a study. I mean, I have been studying it forever and I still learn new things, and I still have like moments where I'm like, oh my goodness, like. So it's always, that's what's so fun about it. To me, it's never ending. It's like it's already there and in place, but it's so vast that you can study it forever and still learn new things. So
Absolutely. I am trying to turn off. Can you hear when I'm getting a message or no?
No, I haven't heard
Okay.
anything. So.
Well, that is good news, because I can't figure out how to turn it off.
No, you're good.
Okay. To the signs. So last week we did the chart ruler, which was based on your ascendant sign. So that would mean something that you need to know based on your time of birth. And now we have house rulers. Again, my slides are tiny. And so I will have these eventually for sale, but I do not have them for sale right now. Or they'll be in our Patreon, one of those two or both. So you guys can come back and read these when you're ready.
And you can go back to all of these. So if we're going through something and you're like, I don't quite get it, or it's taking you a minute to figure yours out, you can go back and refer to them. So that's always nice.
Yeah, important. All right, let's do this. All right, here we go.
All right, so the first house. I'm not going to read this, but just to kind of stay in line, because it is so much information, I'm just going to glance over. Again, the first house is the Ascendant. We spoke about this last week. And if you are looking on a chart, you see your
Ta-da!
chart. Oh, just kidding. We're going to play for a second. Megan said, nope, not today. We'll come back. Okay. Yeah. So if you're looking at your chart, and Megan, let's take a moment to just circle so first house is right here. So you're going to look at this sign right here. This is your ascendant. It's your first house. It rules the first house. You're going to look down to the next. Oh, see, on any chart, it's always the same. It has the AC by it. And then you're going to see, different charts where the house is located, because you're like, wait, there's not a 1 there. And then you're going to see that it's in Cancer, which if you look at the piece, like the lines of the house, so it's right there, that's in Cancer. And she's going to highlight that. Yeah.
Perfect.
So you see how it just kind of, and if you look, you see that the Ascendant is green and it's in Virgo. And if you look, you see the green a little bit above, the line, and you see it go all the way down almost technically to the second house. So that right there is your Ascendant. That is 29 degrees of your Ascendant and how it lays in your house system. So that is everything we're talking about. When we say your ascendant, that is your ascendant. It's the line. It represents a little bit above. Sometimes it's different for everyone. And below, sometimes it could go up to the middle of the 12th house. There's significance in that as well, but we're definitely not going to go into that right now. How far it goes down into your first house is another. The fact that it's empty is something. And then, your ascendant being Virgo in this chart, you look for Mercury in your chart, and that's kind of what we went over to. And that's your chart ruler is Mercury, which the Mercury here is in the 9th house. If you look at the piece of the pie, it has the 9 up there. That's the symbol for Mercury. And that it just shows that is the theme of her life. And so, it's in Taurus, which we'll go over how we find it that's Taurus. But which you guys probably already know, but I meant more of a house ruler kind of thing. So that is the first house ruler. That is the ascendant. That is everything we talked about last week. And maybe we should have been more precise in showing you that last week because we did have a lot of confusion. So again, we understand it is very difficult, but keep in mind, we are giving you a lot of information. If you truly are curious, there are ways that you can research things and try to figure it out. Like, hey, my ascendant is this. What is my house ruler? The internet is amazing. You can find all kinds of stuff on there. So just know that, ask us, research it yourself. I learn best when I'm researching myself because I don't know what it is. My brain clicks more because I'm searching for something. I have to find it versus like someone just giving me the information. Like I work harder for some reason. I'm just like I love a glutton for punishment, I guess. But I just love to create more work for myself because that's just who I am. So yeah, that is your first house. That is your first house ruler, your ascendant, and whatever planet is that rules the sign that's your ascendant is your chart ruler. So let's kind of go into, let's see. I'm trying. Oh, this isn't the houses yet. We haven't really. So that's kind of.
This was just, here we go. Sorry.
Yeah. I did look at these. So I'm like, I know that we went to the houses, but I'm like, wait, this is not enough. So if, let me just kind of see here. The ruler of the first house. So the first house is obviously we've talked about itself. It is your physical self. It is all of those things. It is the house technically could be associated with Mars, could be associated with like Aries energy, but we are trying to steer away from that because the first house does have its own qualities and its own kind of personality to it. So, but typically self. So the ruler of the first house, if your ascendant, if the planet that rules that is in the second house, that's what this second part is. If you read the ruler of the first house is in the second house, this is like personal merit due to native themselves. Am I reading that wrong? Yes. And then commercial gain. So I'm just going to, oh, my mic is going to die. Am I not plugged in? Jesus. Give me 1 second. I just got to make sure my computer doesn't die.
Yeah, you're good.
I can do that.
And on point for today's energy.
I know. I'm like, I am tracking. I'm so sorry. Okay. So the ruler of the first house in the second house. So if you look at, say, we're gonna use the Aries in this sense. So say you're an Aries ascendant and your Mars is in the second house. That is what this is saying. Ruler of the first house in the second house. That's where you're going to gain, a lot of possessions and work and consistent. That's going to be things that are true to yourself. And that's when you read this, it seems very confusing. I can see where that can be confusing, but that's how you read it. So if you have, say, a Taurus ascendant and your Taurus, say you have a Taurus Venus, which it could technically drop down to the second house, say it's maybe like 0 degrees, then your second house would be in Taurus, like that, and that Venus energy in the second house kind of magnifies that. I feel like this is difficult to explain. I feel like
I know.
Chime in if I'm confusing the hell out of you. We're just gonna across the board use Aries and keep it that simple, because I'm gonna throw other signs in there. It's gonna get confusing. So let's go down to the next one. Ruler of the first house and the third house. So if your ascendant is Aries and your Mars is in the third house, it's going to bring, house profitable journeys, relationship with the native, like neighbors, siblings, cousins, things like that. You have up for good education and aptitude for study. Sorry, I can't read. So if your ascendant's in Aries and then your Mars is in the third house, that is what this is saying. So when you're hearing someone say, oh, my first house ruler is in the third house, that is what that means. It means that your ascendant, the planet that rules that, is in the third house, so that's kind of what that brings. And so your ascendant is kind of who you are. It's your personality. It's how you see the world. And it placed in a house, in the third house, it's a positive house. Communication is very probably something really big in your life. It really shines. Depending, on what those planets are, then it can kind of adjust accordingly. Like if you have Gemini there, then it can be really good, right? Or Virgo, because those are communication are huge for those signs. But if you have someone, a sign that's not as great with communicating, then it can be more challenging. So that's kind of what it looks like when your ascendant ruler is in the third house. And then your ascendant ruler is in the fourth house. I'm going to say ascendant instead of first house, fourth house, because I think that's makes it a little more confusing. So this is our first time we use this, so we're just trying to figure out what works and what doesn't. So if your ascendant, the ruling planet, which in this case we're using Aries, so if your Mars is in the fourth house, this gives for like a peaceful and happy home life. You probably will receive at some point some inheritance. You can be very lucky. So this is a very generous placement for that. So this is if your ascendant was in Aries and Mars, which rules Aries, is in the fourth house. I'm going to give everyone a minute to process that.
Yeah, I feel like I'm picking it up much quicker this time. But again, I'm not drunk.
Let's hope. All right. So again, ascendant in Aries, Mars rules Aries. We're looking at if Mars were in your fifth house. So fifth house, we all know, is children, creativity, initial romance, the spark. 1 second. Mackenzie. I'm just going to strangle everybody in my house today. They're so loud. They're so loud. I'm like, can you just be quiet? Anyways. So the fifth house is the house of like fun, flings, nothing serious, like not long-term relationships, those fun short-term ones. And so when your ascendant is in the ruler, again, Aries, this would be Mars, in the fifth house, this gives somebody a fun life. Now it can also be, we have gambling in here. That's a perfect example. Getting carried away with gambling. Pleasure, fun, lightheartedness, and then also children. So children could be a huge theme in your life, the direction of your life, of where it gears to, with a lot of action. Maybe you're doing a lot of things with children, a lot of projects. Hold on 1 second. Okay. I am so sorry.
You're good. This is real life.
This is really live, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Have a teenager and a toddler. Not a toddler, but let's strangle both. Okay, so now we're going to go through the ascendant in the sixth house, the ruler of the ascendant. So Aries, Mars rules Aries, say that is in the sixth house. This one is, can be a little, it could go either way depending on what we're using Aries, but you can have other things here that could make, your mental health be very high priority for you or not, I would definitely say, I'm just going to throw an example out there. If you are a let's see here. Say you're a Libra ascendant. And actually, no, I was going to use Cancer ascendant, and your moon is in the 6th house. This one could be challenging. And like, you know, in that aspect, because, you know, your moon, your emotions being in the 6th house, you know, and it just being a really heavy placement, it may not be the best for like mental health, and other things can affect that. But just really putting that in perspective of like, oh, if my moon is in the 6th house and my ascendant is in Cancer, the Cancer is ruled by the moon, and then you have the moon in the 6th house. I mean, it can be a huge, again, depending on other things in your chart. I don't want to say that like freak anyone else out, but it can be very chronic disease. That's kind of what I think of. Like, also cancers have that like gut thing, you know, where they struggle with their gut. There's anxiety there and stress there naturally for cancers. And so it's just one of those placements that can be very challenging if other things aren't working for you in your chart. So just to put that in perspective, that was just an example I was going to use for the 6th house and the ruler, kind of connecting it, how it connects. You know, I've been using Aries, so I'll just try to throw some in there that I feel like will be pretty easy.
Mike says we can use him as an example.
Awesome. Yeah, no, that'd be good. Pisces moon. Mike, I want to know how your relationship with your father was.
I'm going straight into it.
Good. I mean, you can use your chart, but I want to know how your relationship with your father is, because I have a theory on Pisces moon, except for Megan, and I'm really tallying them up so I can do a true percentage of how many people with Pisces moons have issues with their fathers or a non-existent relationship at all. So
interesting.
And Aries sun Pisces moon, that's hard. It's a warrior and an emotional person. So okay. So let's go through. So now we're kind of in the rest of the houses. So the first houses are South, these. Oh, see, another one.
Another wild card.
This is good. This is good. I need this for my research. That is good. Still a hero. I can appreciate that. Okay. The ascendant of your ascendant and the ruler of the ascendant in the 7th house. This one is complete opposite. So this one can be a wild card. It can give a lot of issues with relationships, partners. It can also be someone who doesn't really do their due diligence with contracts. They're just they might see something one way and really it be in another, because, you know, it's at the opposite, you know, poles of their chart. And so sometimes that can be, especially if you have Neptune. I'm just going to throw this fun fact in there. If you have Neptune around the 7th house and around this, it really has an illusion there. So not saying that it's a bad thing. It can also be very good. I mean, you know, sometimes the half of the whole completes, right? So it could be like, oh, we're really good because how they are, say they are a Libra ascendant and their Venus is in the 7th house. Like that's beautiful for relationships, you know, because Libra, it's all about relationships, and their Venus being in the 7th house of partnership. Like it, you know, there's probably a really good flow there. Whereas if you are a Libra ascendant and you're trying to think, maybe you have Capricorn it wouldn't be Capricorn. I'm trying to think of how that would work. I mean, Aries, even like Taurus, or having a Pisces there. It could be very, you know, Pisces in the 7th house. Again, Pisces are a little just kind of spacey and kind of illusion. Like there's not a real concrete thing there. It's more illusion. So when you think of if you had Pisces in the 7th house, it could be very challenging as far as like knowing and trusting people that you're doing contracts with, that you're doing deals with, that you're, you know, in relationships with. So, I mean, it can be very tricky. So that's just a prime example. The next one, if your ascendant ruler is in the 8th house, this can insinuate a short life. It could, or a violent death, according.
I know that one was like I always feel so weird repeating some of this information.
Yeah. Like, but it's either a violent death or a rich marriage. I mean, you know.
You know, rich marriage. I've been saying it all week. I need a yacht.
Let that be the one. I mean, yes. I mean, obviously
Please
there are a lot
repeat,
of
Violet.
yeah, there could be placements, but you have to understand there are so many other things going on in your chart that, you know, that's, yeah, you can see that, but there could be other things. There are also, like, you know, some people's charts, they have free will, so they might change their lifestyles and live longer. I mean, tons of things can happen. But I do like the rich marriage because, you know, you're using other people's assets. That's truly what the eighth house is other people's money. And so whether you're managing it, whether you're controlling it, or you're, you know, receiving it, it's other people's money. So I can always appreciate that.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. Like, come on, give me all your money. The ascendant, the first house ruler in the ninth house. This is someone, this is for travel. This is someone that definitely does a lot of learning in their life, receives a lot of education, is probably truly just smart and gets things. Foreigners kind of fall into this department, like marrying a foreigner, or a lot of friends out of the country, and then death in a foreign country. Where did you get these fun facts from?
Cafe Astrology. My resources are on the last page. Don't kill us.
No. I was like, "Oh, I'm normally the one talking about all the death and killing people, but, you know, this is happening before me today." I'm like, I'll, you know, bring it back a little bit so that it's not too much today. I try to keep it like an even kill. No pun intended. But all right. If your ascendant planet is ruler is in the 10th house, this is a great one for career. You know, the 10th house is all about career and public roles. And if you have, say, a Sagittarius ascendant, and you have a Libra, or yeah, Jupiter in your 10th house, I mean, that's going to bring lots of luck. You're going to find you're probably very wealthy. Celebrities, it's just wealth comes to you very easily, I think, luckily for you. So very good placement to have anytime you have, you know, great, like, especially Jupiter. That's like my favorite one to go to for the 10th house. When I see Jupiter in the 10th house, I'm like, oh, your career, you're very lucky, and you have a Sagittarius rising, like, or ascendant, good for you. Like, I'm happy for those people because that's clearly not all the charts. You know, lucky. All right, and then the ascendant, the ruler in the 11th house. This person has a lot of luck with friendships and, you know, community and humanitarian work. Maybe they, depending on what it is, they could really do good for a community and really strive in that and enjoy that and be one of those people that really, like, you know, you meet people that just like love what they do, and they're like helping a community or a village or whatever, and you just see like the wholesomeness and like the happiness, and they're just really complete, and you just like know they found their life purpose so young and so early. You ever meet those
Yeah.
people?
Yeah.
I think with that kind of energy.
Must
Like,
be
oh
nice.
wow, you're 21 and you're loving what you're doing. I was like drunk at a bar, miserable at 21, but you know what? Good for you. I figured it out eventually, right? No, I'm always like really happy for those people. So, but it's just like they do find, you know, friendships and just good fortune in the sense of like, and it depends on aspects, but you know, it's just a good placement when you have whatever the ruler is in the 11th house, and that's going to be the true direction of life that your life kind of goes into as well. So it goes hand in hand, especially if you're a Gemini or like an Aquarius. I mean, those are really lucky ones to have there.
Yeah.
So the next one is going to be the 12th house. You can only imagine the death that's going to be in this one. Signifies grave troubles in the initial period of life, prosperous ending. So I would say for this one, yeah. So if your ruler of the, you know, your ascendant ruler is in the 12th house, this one, you know, you probably just have more depth to you. There's probably a huge spiritual being you might be, you know, able to speak to or past different realms of like living versus dead. I mean, this could be something that you have a real gift of. This could be very intuitive, very spiritual, and just very aware of different realms in the universe. So not a bad thing. It's just definitely a place for someone who's very intuitive, and it being right there close to your ascendant. Like the closer things are to your ascendant, you really want to pay attention to, because those things are key as well. So I'm just going to throw some little fun facts in there as we go. But yeah, I know, Megan, another Pisces moon. I just want to make this clear. We met another Pisces moon with a good relationship with her father. So I'm excited. I don't like having that theory. It's very sad because I'm like, they all hate their fathers, but I'm learning that's not true. And so here we are.
All right,
There's
Megan
two
was
other,
saying something about pulling up this chart. Hold on. She says, once you're through the first house, show the chart, and Elle read them, and then she's going to show where things are.
So this one, we kind of did Kayla. So hers is Virgo. And Virgo is ruled by Mercury, which is up there in the 9th house. And so you can see that that is the direction of her life, Mercury. And then if you look in the corner up, or not in the chart ruler of her 9th house is Taurus. If you'll circle that Taurus by the 1. So just to kind of give you a little preview, that is the chart ruler of her 9th house. So when people say, oh, my chart ruler is in the 9th house, that's what it's referring to. And you can see below her degrees, it has the little Taurus symbol. But if you're ever confused what the house ruler is, it'll be the 1 that starts up there. Hers is right at the 1, but it is there. And then on the next one, this person, I'm assuming it's a she. No, it is a she because we talked about it earlier. So she is a Cancer ascendant. So you're going to look for the moon, because the moon, Cancer is ruled by the moon, and the moon is up here in the 8th house in Aquarius. And you can just kind of see that's the direction of her life.
So her chart ruler is Aquarius.
Her chart ruler is Cancer, and the moon is no, you're good. It is so confusing. So her chart ruler is the moon, because technically it's the planet,
Cancer,
and it's
moon.
in the 8th house, but it is in Aquarius. So it's kind of like when you look at it from that perspective, you're like, okay, the theme of her life is, is going to be emotions that are in the 8th house, which can be like death. There's been a lot of change, transformation in the sign of Aquarius that is very eccentric and different. So the way that she's, emotionally handled this has been her own way of emotionally handling things, because Aquarius, not only do they not really love emotions, they also don't know how to process them. Unevolved, I should say unevolved. Processing them takes time for Aquarius moons, because it's not the most emotional sign that you could have your moon in. And so you look at all 3 of those. You look at the 8th house, what that represents, the moon, and you look at the sign that the moon is in, and that is going to piece everything together when you're looking at, like, okay, what's my chart ruler and what's the direction of my life. So really dive into whatever house it is, and dive into the sign that it is in, and that's how you're going to really catch a theme of your life.
Perfect.
And the chart
that makes it a lot more clear for me.
Really? Yeah.
Yes,
so
thank you.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's trying to figure out different ways to say it and different ways to explain it, because we all do learn different ways. And this is for our visuals out there, because honestly, we probably should be doing something like this all the time, because most people are visual learners. Like me just rambling, as people are like, what the hell is she talking about? Nothing.
Right. Here we go.
Okay, so the second house. Let's just take a minute and talk about the second house. The second house is possessions. It is your not day-to-day like 6th house energy, but it is kind of like routine, consistency. Think of like slow and steady. There's no real rush. Comfort here is a big deal. Self-worth is a big deal here. And let's see. Trying to think, just possessions. Really, possessions are always my go-to for the second house. And so when you look at your second house ruler, we can go back to a chart. Megan, if you don't mind, just want to make sure everyone is on the same page.
Oops, sorry. Me and Megan clicked at the same time. My bad.
So when you're looking for your second house ruler, you're going to go down below. So you have the first house. Now we're starting on the cusp, which is that line. That's considered the cusp of the second house. And whatever sign is there, you're going to use that as your second house ruler. Sometimes it's going to be very confusing because it's going to be hard to see if it's a certain sign, if it's, if it's Libra, if it's Virgo, if it's like really close. But you'll notice that how Libra is a very low degree where it says 2. You know that it barely starts on that second house. It can be 1, it can even be 0. That means it just starts in that house. Now, if it were Virgo 29 degrees, you would know that it went over on, but it's brand new. It started, it's in Libra, and that is your second house sign there. So then you look at what rules Libra, and it's Venus. So now we're going to go on the chart and we're going to find Venus. And that is going to be in the 8th house. Sorry, my phone. So Venus in the 8th house in Aries. So then again, you're going to look at 8th house. Now, this is not so much the theme of your life. That's the first house. The first house ruler is the theme of your life. The second house is going to connect in ways a little different. It's not going to be a main theme. It's actually one of the weaker houses. We are going to talk about houses that carry really heavy strengths and houses that don't. But this is not the time for that. So we are just going to break it down to how to find the things. So
we'll get there.
When it comes to possessions and how you possess things, you're going to look at your second house ruler and see where that is located in your chart. So if it's in the first house, so that Libra, say your Venus was in the first house. This would be someone who gains success through their own merit. And so when you're looking at that, we give you little like what it could be. Look at what your first house, look at the ascendant, and look at the degree, the house, the energy, and that's going to speak volumes about how you handle your possessions, how you find comfort, things of that nature. So keep that in mind that we're dealing with the second house. It's a little different. If you have the ruler of the second house, say it's Libra, your Venus is in the second house. This is going to be really easy. And Venus is home in the second house, so that's even better. So, it's kind of like, that's a beautiful thing when you have that. It kind of has someone who's very beautifully aesthetic. Venus in the second house of possessions really brings, like, they own beautiful things. They like beautiful things. Their house is really tidy. It's very comfortable and tidy too. It's not just immaculate, but also comfortable. Art on the walls, things of that are really what you're going to find here. So ruler of this, so your second house ruler in the third house. That is if your Venus is in the third house. This is probably one of a really fun placement for having siblings, having neighbors that you just had a lot of fun with. Maybe you have a really gorgeous family. That's kind of more fourth house, but siblings, attractiveness, Venus, keep in mind, Venus energy is very beautiful. And we're pretending that everyone's second house ruler is Venus. So, it could change with a lot of things. That doesn't mean we're just using Venus as the example. So I don't want you to get confused and be like, oh, but mine is in the second, It could be different depending on what your second house. You could have an Aries second house ruler, then you would go to your Mars, and that's maybe how you hold possessions and spend money and conserve or don't. That's going to bring that kind of energy. So just remember, you're looking at yours specifically. If your second house ruler is in the fourth house, this is going to be family, probably a lot of teaching about responsibilities and how to handle money, and just having kind of that setup for you for finance in a way. A lot of people that you meet are like, oh, your parents really set you up, must be nice. Not all of us have that in our lives. So, that's kind of that energy. Somebody probably set you up for possessions, not like 8th house energy where it's other people's money. It's more of giving you the resources and making you resourceful on your own and creating the, the wealth that you need. So that's really nice to have. If your second house ruler is in the 5th house, this one could be a very fortunate, I'm trying to think, you may really captivate like fine art, because also the 5th house is creativity and art. And so there might be different ways of that you possess things, or that your finances flow. It just really kind of, you have to look at what the sign is and that 5th house energy. So I could use examples all day. I'm trying to maybe not use as many examples to not confuse anyone, but I'm also just like slightly trying to touch so it can make sense for some people.
Yeah, send us y'all's information and we'll try to use your charts, like Megan said.
That would be the easiest thing. So the ruler of the 2nd house in the 6th house can be inheritance from an uncle or an aunt. There's certain things that in astrology that you'll find when you start looking at the houses and being like, oh, that's two houses down. I like to say it just, it can signify different things of like you had a cousin that you were close to or wasn't, just weird little things. And so how this is so specific with the inheritance from an uncle or an aunt is very just one of those things kind of thrown in there that are just like, wow, I wouldn't have thought that. But there's so many little things like that in astrology that you're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. So just weird things like that. So again, how you possess things or how you day to day may have a huge significance in your mental health or in your daily routine. These do go hand in hand together. They typically trine each other depending on the chart. Sometimes it can be not a trine just because of Placidus doesn't fit right into the houses, but typically these flow well together. So that's always nice. I can appreciate that. And that is all I have. Oh, this is a set. Okay. I was like, I didn't even see it.
They all look the same. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
I didn't get very creative.
I need to pay attention. No, you're good. So the 2nd house ruler in the 7th house, wealthy marriage, a rich, active, or sleeping partner.
I don't know, but I'm going to start referring to them all that way.
Sleeping partner. I don't have friends with benefits. I have sleeping partners.
I have sleeping partners. They may be cats at the moment, but still.
Yeah, that's okay. Cats will do. I love it. So that's just kind of what that insinuates. I mean, 2nd house energy, Venus energy with the 7th house, depending on what the signs are in, but they typically flow and hopefully go hand in hand. But that's not always the case. So 2nd house ruler in the 8th house, I feel like this one is going to be very prosperous because, 2nd house is, the opposite of the 8th house, and they are possessions and they're good with their money and they have a lot of resources. And the 8th house is other people's resources. It's very, taboo, but 2nd house can be traditional, and so it just kind of in that way clashes. But typically I almost feel like this energy, depending on what the signs are in, is like you managing or gaining a lot of income from other people. So if you have this placement, then let me know how that is going for you. Because it can be someone that, generates a lot of income from other people's, maybe someone dies and you're in their will that you don't even really know. You didn't have to do anything. It just naturally kind of gravitates to things like that. You find people all the time that just get lucky, and it's like, how does that happen for you? But
I've seen those people. So jealous.
I'm like, why doesn't that happen to me? And I'm like, oh, my 2nd house ruler is not in the 8th house of other people's money. That's unfortunate. But okay, the 2nd house ruler in the 9th house, this really, I would say, the way you handle finances are pretty freely, not necessarily bad, but there's probably a lot of money and energy spent in travel or education or someone at your door.
Oh no, I was like, is it fireworks or gunshots? I don't know. I got got noise canceling headphones. I'm like, should we close the door? Should we hit the floor? I don't know.
I think probably where you're at in Mexico is probably fireworks.
Yeah. Yeah. We also realized that we're so close to Sayulita, and you know how in Bachelor Paradise they have fireworks every single night? It's not production paying for it. It's just what happens here.
Okay. That's fun.
So it's not for those ladies that think they're special.
You're not special. No.
Everyone's special, but not you.
Everyone's special. I love it. Okay. The ruler, so the second house ruler in the 10th house, comfortable worldly position and rapid acquired wealth. This, second house, 10th house, they really try each other. They flow. Depending on what the signs are, you can be really, really successful. And that could be, I think of like Donald Trump in this aspect, like how I don't know really his story. This is just a guesstimate. I'm assuming that he's like self-made in a way. I know he's probably brought up in money. I'm not saying self-made, like from the ground up self-made, but I do think that he was like a good business guy. Maybe not saying president. I don't want this to all get twisted. I just feel like he had some really good business tactics that he used in his before he was president. He had like a real business, and he was really smart and taught people business. That's where I'm going with this. And so that just gives like, he had a lot of assets and he had a lot of property, and he was really smart with how he handled it. Or TV made it look that way. I don't know if that's a real life thing, but so that's what I think of someone who has their second house ruler in the 10th house. They're just good with possessions. They're good with their real estate and their business decisions. And, he doesn't have a great public role, but, he got in the public eye. He made a name for himself and he became president. So that's that kind of energy. It's just someone really strong and powerful that makes a lot of decisions, business based, mainly over anything, really. When you have something in the 10th house of possessions, it can really kind of take over. And depending on, what the planets are, the 10th house is it's probably the second, in my opinion, the second most important house of astrology. First house being the first, 10th house being the second, and then the fourth, and then the seventh. Honestly, that's kind of the structure that astrology goes off of, the importance of houses. Just so you all know, again, fun facts that I'm dropping in today. First, 10th, fourth, seventh, in that order, most important houses, top four. Anyway. And I'm not saying that because I'm biased to any of it. That's truly an astrologer's way of looking at houses. Those are the ones that you look at the most, and the first, and how they aspect each other. But anyways, that's just a side note, fun fact for everybody to jot down in their notes. So second house, depending on what it is, if the ruler is in the 10th house, it just gives me someone that's really smart, business savvy, and just very educated with business. If your second house ruler is in the 11th house, then this is going to give someone powerful friends. It's all about who you know. And when I see people with this placement, you attract and, create money, possessions, comfort, whatever that looks like. You can have nothing, but if you're comfortable with nothing, then it's still that same kind of energy, right? Or maybe someone who has some bad placements, they're not comfortable with anything because they want everything and they never feel like they have enough. Like they're constantly trying to chase money. I mean, you keep those in mind. Those are two different spectrums of how people perceive money and what they have and don't have. Because some people feel like they have everything, and someone that has everything can be like, you have nothing, and they're satisfied with it. So keep that in mind, that is a huge indicator on your second house ruler, and how it kind of communicates with wherever that planet is in your chart. Could be positive, could be negative. But in the 11th house, powerful friends, people that put you in the right place. You probably have some real wit to you when it comes to choosing your friends. You're not going to just choose anyone. You're probably more picky, and you probably expect your friends to be successful, or at least driven, or there's just you want friends who have things, kind of thing. So, and then if you have your second house ruler is in the 12th house, this one's kind of challenging. This one can make you very kind of just not as strong with making financial decisions or holding on to possessions. There's that Neptune kind of hazy. I keep calling it hazy, but it's just kind of foggy, and it doesn't may not be the best placement for someone who's trying to be successful or have comfort. It's actually one of those placements that it can be very, very difficult. But you can also gain through farming or leasing. I'm
Interesting.
not sure the significance on that, but I get it. Because a lot of times the 12th house represents big animals, and I think of horses and cows and cattle and things like that. So there is
Oh,
that kind of representation there that could be, you may possess a lot of cattle.
interesting.
I know. So astrology has so many just weird little things.
Yeah, it really does.
So we're about 51 minutes, and we can do the third house.
We
Did we
can
plan
do
on
the
doing-
third and fourth house next week if you want. It's up to you.
Yeah, I will say it's gonna take some
I already
time
got
to go
the
through.
slides.
I don't feel like rushing it because
Yeah.
it is so much, and I tried to go slower this week because I also want to give people time if they have questions. So we're actually going to split it up 2 house because we are going through so much. I mean, we're going through each house, so that's going to be some time consuming. Just wanted to stop by and say hi. I farm part. Interesting. Okay, what's your second house ruler? Do we have Alan's chart?
I don't
We
think
need
we have
Alan's chart.
Alan, send us your chart.
Yeah, and you can be anonymous. You don't have to sell anyone. That's completely fine. Or if you're fine with it, but I would be curious.
Yeah.
And Kayla said that she could see the chats coming straight through from YouTube. It was just hers that was delayed. So I don't know, but I told her we've had other people that have had issues. So I'm not sure if there's a delay with the YouTube if you're commenting on there, but possibly.
Okay, so
yeah,
if just to like recap the second house briefly with the actual chart in front of us.
Yeah, so again, the second house ruler is Libra. Libra is ruled by Venus, so we go and we find Venus. And Venus is in the 8th house, which is death, sex, transformation, that whole thing. And so here's a fun thing we can do. Like, that's the 8th house energy. And then Aries, which is like the god of war and passion and very energetic. So how they, may possess things could be in a very passionate, assertive, dominant way, but also, they may also get resources through other people's money because the 8th house is other people's money. So there could be this draw of like, it may be a very assertive and aggressive way that they get it, but it's other people's money that help them. And then to go back to that, Jupiter is in the second house as well. If you look at Jupiter down there in the second house, Jupiter is luck. So you have Jupiter, Venus, we've got Libra and Aries. And when you combine kind of those together and you're like, okay, Jupiter's luck and abundance, so they're probably grabbing or accepting a lot of inheritance or other people's money through being dominant, aggressive, Aries energy. And if you look at the 5, which is Jupiter's degree, and you look at Venus's degree is 9, they're within orbs, so they are very strong oppositions. They're very strong because they're within orb, and one's in Libra and one is in Aries. So there's a huge connection there. That's a really big aspect to have in a chart. So Kayla, looking at yours, and then if we go down here to the anonymous chart, you're going to see that the second house is Leo. So second house, Leo right there, ruling right on the line. And Leo is ruled by the sun. So we're going to look, the sun is literally right on the ascendant, right below it. So there's huge significance there. And it's in the first house. So this person is a person that probably makes their own. This person, let me just kind of glance at it for a second. So when you see the sun in the first house and that their second house is empty. So Leo is a fixed sign over the second house, and the sun being in Leo as well. There's probably a lot of Leo energy in how they possess, you know, their possessions or how they make money. It's probably there's not a lot of change, not a lot of shift. This person doesn't switch jobs often, doesn't enjoy switching jobs, doesn't enjoy change. Honestly, this person does not like change because their moon is also, just to throw something in there, we don't have to circle. Yeah, you can circle that. The moon is also on the complete opposite of that in Aquarius. Again, a fixed sign. So not a lot of budging here, not a lot of movement. Doesn't enjoy it.
Interesting.
I will say, huh?
I love this game.
Yeah, we could go on forever. I mean, we can. So if you want to look at like the Leo, and here's how you can kind of connect things. And Megan, you can circle if you want. If you want to go to the second house ruler of the Leo, which is, is the sun, that's going to be the ruler. And then if you look at the sun, well, the sun is in Leo too, actually. This one would not be a good example. Let's go to Kayla so I can give a better example. Sorry. That one is going to be harder and people are going to get confused. So if you look at her ascendant or second house ruler, it doesn't matter. We can do let's do second. I'm like making it difficult.
That's Libra, right?
Yeah, so it's
and then Libra's ruled by Venus.
And then you go to Venus. So Venus is across the way. And then you look at what's ruling that, which is Aries. Now you can play the fun game of follow the sign or follow the chart. Now Aries is ruled by what? Mars. So then you go to Mars and you connect that dot. And you're like, okay, so their Libra ruler of the second house is in the 8th house in Aries. And that gives it a significant, and I don't want to go too far into this, but then you can look at the house ruler of the 8th and connect that. And that is also a huge piece of the puzzle. And you keep going from each planet ruler. You look at Leo and you pin that together and you can find out, you literally can trace it back to like your great grandparents and who they were and how they were raised. And following these things of the chart. Now, I'm not going to teach you guys that right now because that's going to be way too much. But, you just keep going. And then you're like, oh, okay, Leo's ruled by the sun. Then you go to the sun in the 9th house. And then you're like, okay, that's Taurus random. And then it's like, okay, that could be the aunts and the uncles on the husband's side. Like, there's so much to astrology that they can go at you that you're just like, and they're like, well, why does my brother's sister's cousin hate me? I mean, you can track that eventually at some point through their astrological chart. It's wild.
That's so cool.
Yeah, just fun facts for the
very cool
things. But thank you, Kayla.
I'm glad we're taking this slower too. This is good.
Yeah, and it's so time consuming and it's a lot, and
we got nothing but time.
Yeah, so we killed
Except
it within
for today.
Today we did not have time, but I think it's a good start, and I think as we keep moving, if you're following, you're watching, you're buying the information that you could just kind of refer back to, which is helpful to have. I think that there shouldn't be any reason that you can't do your own birth chart. And then eventually make a career out of it. I mean, I have a friend, my astrologer charges like $215 for a reading. He's good. He's chilling.
I love that.
I don't charge that much for me because it's just, I don't want, and I'm getting busier, so maybe I'll charge more just to have less, but right now.
You should be, yeah.
Everyone's like, why do you charge so low? I'm like, it really is an hour of my time, and I just do. I mean, I could go really into depth. If you want a really depth one, then that's going to take me a lot of time, and I just don't have time for that, to be honest. So I'm like, I give you a clip of it, and for most people that are learning, that's all they need. Unless there has been a couple that I've had to go a little deeper in just to, because I can see some things, but for the most part,
awesome.
The general chart reading, $50, I feel like is fair.
Very fair. So you guys, she does chart readings. She should charge more. But we're teaching you how to do your own birth charts.
So yeah, I'm like, at this point, I want you to understand I don't need to harbor all the information. I'm happy to teach it and help people learn. So if you ever have questions, do not feel bad or hesitate to reach out to me at all, because I mean, it's generally just a quick answer. So
exactly. And I will pop up your information right here, just in case anybody needs to know. Elle's at Copper Market Astrology if you have any questions. But also send us a message at Academy of Logic and Light if you want your birth chart read. Put your information in there, and we'll be in contact with you. And then also January. We're still in January, right?
I think so.
Yeah. So
I don't know.
January 25th, I believe it is our first full moon Zoom. So that will be this Thursday at 7 p.m. It's the wolf moon, which is super exciting, or the snow moon, and it's in Leo, which is also exciting for some of us. And yeah, it'll be super fun. Other than that,
I don't think I have anything else. I
don't
hope that
either.
everyone, I hope it was slow enough. I hope I was going slow enough. I know I struggled in the beginning. I was trying to find a way to say it that wasn't so confusing, and I was saying it, and it was sounding confusing to me, so I knew I was probably confusing people. So next week it will not be so hectic.
We got
My
this.
cat is really attacking me close, but
And
yeah.
I'll be back in Utah by then.
Oh yay! Well, safe
Yeah.
travels home. You come home tomorrow, right?
Yeah, tomorrow.
Safe
Flights
travel.
look good, so I'm excited for my bed. But I am not excited for the snow. And don't tell me anything about the weather. I'm in denial until I get on that plane home.
I think the weather here has been great, actually.
Perfect. That's exactly all I need to know.
Yeah. No, I'm not. I came from Oklahoma where it was like -30, not really -30. I'm being dramatic. It was like 6 degrees though, not being dramatic.
In
6
Oklahoma?
degrees in wet weather. If you are used to the dry cold, that is one thing. Wet cold is excruciating. It is not.
No thanks.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Well, thank you, Elle. Thank you, Megan. I know it was a rough week and we got on track, and then we'll keep going from there. And
Yeah.
thank you, everyone, for watching. Love you guys, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.